Hello everybody and welcome back to my podcast, Esme's Country Life. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about how we had an emergency vet visit. Yes, it's been one of those weeks. We also had a last minute Foss, hello. He's like, I want to be part of the podcast. I don't know if you heard that. I'm also going to be talking about, sorry, I'll say that again, how we had a last minute photo shoot, and I was about to get to Foss's part, how Foss had his first ever trip to the pub. So as a puppy, you know, this is a big moment. And we might need to remove the squeaky toy because this is the first podcast, I think, where we've been chatting away and the dog has been awake. Normally he's asleep. But anyway, before we begin, I just want to say a huge thank you to the sponsor of the podcast, Red Post. Red Post is an equestrian and country store based in the UK, and they also ship all over the world. And I know I've been saying this every week, guys, but this is your last chance. This is officially your last chance to get your friends and family members their Christmas presents. Also, if you're listening to this podcast late, why are you doing it late? But if you are, maybe you might get a little bit of Christmas money from your friends and family. You might be thinking, oh, what should I use that? I want to get some new horsey bits. Do you know where you can get it? Red Post Equestrian. So go and check them out at redpostequestrian.co.uk. Now, you might be listening to the beginning of this podcast, but like, oh, Esme, you sound a little bit husky. You sound a little bit like you've got a bit of a deeper voice. What's going on with that? Well, guess what, guys? I survived one, and I've survived my second chest infection of the year. Now, I don't know what's been going on with me. So the last few days I've been poorly. I'm actually recording this the Wednesday before the podcast goes out. Normally I give myself a little bit of time, a little bit of time to get the episode out, to, just in case I'm poorly. Well, good thing I've given myself some buffer time because I have been poorly. I am feeling a lot better now. I just have a croaky voice, so I sound a little bit like a goblin. So hello. I'm definitely Esme because we do have video podcasts on YouTube and also on Spotify, so you can see my beautiful face that probably looks a little bit poorly and ill. But sorry, I'm gonna have to do there's probably gonna be a lot of cuts in today's podcast. I've said sometimes I do the whole thing, no cuts, just waffling away. When right now I probably need to have a little bit of a cough because I'm sounding extra scratchy. But anyway, I've come to the conclusion that I probably need to take my foot off the gas a little bit. I've been, burning the candle at both ends. And that's why I've been getting chest infections. So basically what happens is I start coming down with a little bit of a sniffle. And I'm like, it's fine. I've got a little bit of a sore throat, a little bit of a sniffle. Power on through. Keep living life as normal, riding the horses. I'm an active person, working hard. And then my body goes, oh, we've given her the warning signs, but she hasn't rested. Do you know what that means? Boom, boom, chest infection time. So luckily this time, caught the signs early. I'm on my meds. I'm on the mend. So yeah, but because tomorrow I've got to work in London. And then Friday, I'm also working in London for the London International Horse Show, and also there on the Saturday. So yeah, I've got an intense week ahead of me, but I feel rested. The last 2-3 days, I have just been sitting on the sofa doing nothing, which if you know me, you will know that is my idea of hell. Like I am an active, I like to be doing things. I don't like to be sitting around. I need to be doing things. You know how poorly I was? I was so poorly that I couldn't walk Foss. My parents had to walk him for me. And that's how you know, because I love our little walks together. But anyway, I'm on the mend. I'm better. And the last week it's been a week, Not only have I been ill, you know how things come in threes? Well, I don't really know where to start. There's been a lot going on with family life. Got a family member that's really, really poorly, that's been in hospital. Kind of talked a little bit about that last week's episode. But anyway, it's been let's just say it's been a tough week, everybody. But you know what? It's a new week now. Keeps feeling like a Monday because this is my first day back at work. I say work, back in the office. But anyway, it's a new week. Life is good. Apart from poor Casper that we'll get into. And you're probably thinking, Casper? Do you not mean Joey, Esme? Because my horse Joey, he is the accident prone one. He is the one that I ring up the vets and they're like, oh, is it Joey? I'm like, yes. For some reason, Joey is my most accident prone horse. He is the one that, has cost me the most in vet bills. Let's just say that. But anyway, so let me set the scene. Last week, I went to go and so I think the day before I'd had a really hard dressage lesson with Joey, so I wasn't actually going to ride Joey. I was planning on riding Casper in the arena, so got his head collar, walked on down, went to go and get him. This was first thing in the morning as well, so he hadn't been out in his paddock very long. And this is one of those things where it's so important to check your horses regularly, because if not, I don't want to think about what could have happened. Like, it's dramatic. It was like the most dramatic, undramatic emergency vet call. So I grab Casper from the paddock. I look at his forehead and I go, oh, what have you done there, fella? You got a little cut on it. That doesn't look very good. Like, but then also I looked at it and I wasn't like, it wasn't that like, like, you know, when sometimes you see your horse and they've done something or they're poorly and like your heart starts beating fast and you're like, oh my gosh, panic mode. I was so chilled. I was like, oh, what have you done there, you silly Billy? You got a little cut on your forehead, that kind of thing. And anyway, so took him up to the yard, took off his rug, gave him a little clean down. At this time, I'd text my mum and dad being like, hey, can you bring like some water that is sterilised and some cotton pads so we can clean up Casper's face? Because when I tell you, it was like a trickle, like the tiniest, like it wasn't really bleeding at all. Now, if you are squeamish, maybe skip ahead 30 seconds because the next bit I'm going to say is a little bit grim. But my dad came along, gave it a little examine, had like opened up the wound to see what was inside, and we could see it all the way through to the bone. Okay, this is the anti-squeamish people. Welcome back. We won't be talking about squeamish stuff anymore. But basically, let's just say it was worse than we expected. So, call the vet. They come over. Casper, bless him, looks absolutely ridiculous because Casper's got such a fluffy forehead. They had to trim like where his star is on his forehead. So he's got this like bald patch. But the other thing that makes Casper look totally ridiculous is that they had to spray the silver spray on his forehead, obviously to clean it all up, antiseptic kind of spray. Also, I didn't say, but the way that they kind of, you know, put him back together again was with staples. So there we go. So not only has he got metal in his forehead, he is also shining and silvery. So I've been calling him Bock because if any of you have seen Wicked, the Tin Man, I don't know if this is really spoilers. I mean, Wicked and the Wizard of Oz has been out for ages, guys. Like, snooze, you lose. Anyway, Bock gets turned into a Tin Man, so Casper looks a little bit like a Tin Man at the moment. That, or we've been calling him C-3PO, because, to be fair, Casper does begin with C, like C-3PO, but C-3PO is actually gold, not silver. But anyway, so he's our little shining Christmas star at the moment. So thank you very much, Casper, for that extra vet bill. So you might be thinking, Esme, how on earth has this happened? So the paddock that they're in is mainly electric fence, so we have no idea. At first we were like, oh my gosh, is it like a hoof? And then we're like, no, because if it was a hoof or a shoe, then his face would be covered in mud and his face was very clean. So we think what he must have done is, because he loves a head scratch, he is that horse that will love like having his head scratched, all that kind of stuff. So we think maybe he like tried to scratch it on our post. There's like one bit of their paddock that's post and rail. We've looked and there's like no nails up, nothing like that, no scratchy surfaces, so we have no idea. Your guess is as good as ours. So maybe it was like a splinter. Like, I mean, it wasn't very wide, but it was deep. But anyway, moving on. That is Casper's little update for you all. So he is our little Christmas star. Next up, we're going to be talking about the last minute photo shoot. Now, what's actually quite funny is some of you might have seen that Stella McCartney and Lemieux have done a collab, which is very, very cool. So like top high fashion brand and then top equestrian brand have come together. So I actually was lucky enough to go to the actual photo shoot that they did officially back in the summer. Now, obviously, I am not a high fashion model, so I wasn't modelling the clothing on that particular day, which is fair enough. But it was very cool to see like the behind the scenes, see how it all came together and the collaboration. But what was very cool is that they, Lemieux obviously very kindly sent me some clothing to get some photos for socials, all that kind of stuff. Now, as I said before, last week was a difficult week. There was a lot going on in my personal life, with my family and all that kind of stuff. So I get this box from Lemieux, and I'm probably the only person that gets a box from Lemieux, doesn't open it straight away. Again, I had a lot on my plate. What I didn't realise is there was a very small sticker on it that said, I think it said like urgent or something on it. Did not see that. The box was facing the wrong way. And then it was the day I saw Lemieux put a little teaser out on their Instagram for the collection. I thought, oh, that's probably what's in the box. So anyway, open up the box, see in the box that there's a disclaimer on it that says, tomorrow is like, basically told me when they were launching it and at what time. So from then on, I'm allowed to post about it and talk about it. Because before I'd signed an NDA, which is a non-disclosure agreement, which sounds like, whenever I sign these, I feel like I'm a super spy. I feel like, oh yeah, I'm signing this thing that I can't tell anybody about. It's basically like an adult version of a pinky promise. Anyway, so I'd signed this NDA, and then I looked in the box, and I looked at the thing, and like, it was that kind of moment where I was like, wait a minute, I've got to do this for tomorrow morning. And I looked at my clock and my watch, and it was about 2 p.m. in the afternoon. Now you might think, Esme, that's plenty of time. You've got a whole afternoon. Not in the UK in December, because by about 3-4 o'clock, it is dark. So anyway, I rang up Dad. I was like, Dad, get here now. You've got some work to do. So anyway, what do? We think to ourselves, okay, what's the plan? How are we going to shoot this? Because it's one of those things where I had no idea when the launch date was going to be, because it's one of those things, obviously, with two brands coming together, there's a lot of boxes to be ticked off, and these things always take longer than expected. So I was like, is this going to be a before Christmas and after Christmas kind of thing? Anyway, so we'd had some previous ideas about what we wanted to do. So we're like, what's the easiest thing that's the most powerful that looks cool? So we have a white background that we use for like studio shots, and they do look really, really professional. So we got our white background, took it to the stables, rolled it out. Oh my gosh, that white background had a lot of cleaning, because obviously you have to kind of stand on the background when you have your photo taken. And let's just say Joey had some very muddy hooves. But again, the power of cropping, nobody knew. So when I tell you, I got Joey, we had so little time. I got Joey up from the paddock, took off his rug, cleaned him only on one side, from his face to about his withers, because that's all that would fit in the like photo, because obviously he's a big horse. Our white background is not that big. So I was like, perfect. Didn't even rinse his hooves off. That is how little time we had. Came back to the office. I got myself ready, put Joey in the ear bonnet, put myself in the red outfit. So there were two different outfits, a red one and a navy one. Lemire very kindly sent me both. I just went for the red because I thought that's the most out there colour, and probably the most eye-catching personally, in my opinion. So put that on, got some photos done. Literally, when I tell you, it was like getting darker and darker. That we originally had flash on the camera. I had to take the flash off, because what happened was, because it kept getting darker, the flash and the light levels just kept changing. So we would like take some photos, they would look great, and then because of the light levels getting darker, it would look awful again. So anyway, we managed to get the photos, we managed to get the shots, and I tell you what, Dad and I, we were so proud. What is that? Davide! Oh my goodness, did you hear that? Davide is obviously so bored by me chatting away that he decided to go scrolling on Reels, and then suddenly the loudest reel just came on like an absolute boomer.
I was just checking to see how many views that you've had on that campaign.
Okay.
Social media, and it's about 500,000.
Okay.
That's quite good. Say that.
Yeah, okay. So I don't know if you heard what Davide said, but he said that he was going on socials to see how many views it had, and he reckons that about 500,000 views that we've managed to get for Stella McCartney and Lemire, which is very cool. But anyway, what was really lovely is actually one of my friends even messaged me being like, girl, you looked so good in that outfit, like those professional photos are amazing. And I was like, my dad and I took them the night before with very little time, very little preparation. But I tell you what, I was going to say, technically we are professionals. So who am I kidding? We are professionals. This is what we do all day, every day as our jobs. So we can pull it out of the bag last minute. Give me some last minute work. What's that thing like? We work well under pressure, and we work well when there's a short deadline. Anyway, so that's the story behind that, really, which was quite funny. And you know what, Joey, so proud of him, because I thought, if Joey doesn't play ball, if he goes, do you know what's really funny? If I start like chewing on your hair or licking your arm and get all like saliva on you, that is like, honestly, when you're doing a photo shoot with a horse, especially a horse that's quite excited because we're like feeding Joey treats, the one thing that, like, obviously to try and stop Davide spending hours in Photoshop is making sure that Joey doesn't lick me, which sounds really ridiculous because most models, they don't have to worry about a beast standing next to them trying to lick them. But with Joey, he's a very friendly horse and he really likes to lick people. So anyway, luckily he didn't lick me. I didn't get dirty. So yeah, that was a success in the end. Was it a bit stressful? Yes. But the whole time, because my dad used to work in a hospital, so every time we have like a stressful time like that, we always say, it's all right. Nobody's going to die. It's all good. It's not a life or death situation. And sometimes you just need to tell yourself that in life if you're having a little bit of a stressful moment. Anyway, unless you're listening to this and you're a neurosurgeon, then I'm sorry, but that's probably not going to help you on this one. Anyway, maybe let me know. Are there any doctors or like nurses that listen to the podcast? Because I'd find that really interesting, like hearing what you guys do. Maybe that should be for comment of the week this week. Let me know what your job is. If you're not in education, let me know what your job is. I'd really like to find out because I'd find that really fascinating. That's one thing, when I ever meet new people, I love to find out what they do, because there's some people that I meet and they do a job that I've just like never heard of before. Or I just, when you're growing up as a kid and you kind of think of, the kind of, I was going to say stereotypical jobs, but like firefighter, police officer, nurse, that kind of thing. And then someone will come along and they'll be like, well, actually, I'm the creative director of blah, 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 and I specialize in this. And I'm like, what? That was never an option when I was at school for careers. That's so cool. Anyway, I feel like we live in a world like nowadays where so many people do so many different things. And a lot of times people don't do like a single job for their whole life. They'll do lots of different things. But anyway, sorry, I've gone into a tangent. But next, we need to talk about Foss, my dog's first ever trip to the pub, because wait, before we do that, I need to, he's barking, and you probably can't hear that because we've got such good mics that they only kind of pick up my noise and not so much the background noise. But we need to do comment of the week, guys. I cannot forget. Now, the thing is, for the last one that I did, which was Puppy Playdate, the podcast, and me unwrapped, so where I talked about my Spotify Wrapped. Basically, a load of you guys were saying what your Spotify Wrapped was, which is very cool. So we'll do the top one, which is from Isabel, and Isabel says, thank you so much for comment of, she got comment of the week last week, sorry girl, you ain't getting this one. No, I'm joking. That's really mean. Isabel, for some reason you've been comment of the week two I was gonna say 2 nights, 2 podcasts running. So, Isabel says, my top artist was Sabrina Carpenter, and my top song was Love Me Not by, I am so going to pronounce this name wrong, so apologies. I don't actually think I've ever heard of this person before. I'm probably living under a rock, so I'm going to have to check out their music after listening to this. But Ravine Lene, I want to say. Anyway, that's enough for the dyslexic girl. I was in your top 1% of listeners. Oh, thank you. And I listened to your voice for just under 15,000 minutes. My goodness, you must be sick of me. When you said that goats are escape artists, I could just picture you running around a field stopping goats from escaping. I think that was the part of the comment that got a lot of interactions, because a lot of you guys have hearted that. That's why it's at the top of comment of the week. Because yeah, I can also imagine myself running around like a headless chicken after goats. So let's do another one, because I feel unfair doing 2 at the same time. Laura Ward says, hi Esme, my top artist was Olivia Rodrigo. Actually, looking through the comments, because I found this really interesting, like what do my podcast listeners listen to music wise? A lot of you also said Olivia Rodrigo. I'm not gonna lie, I do really enjoy her music. She's very cool. Her like set I think it was Glastonbury this year. Very good. My top song was Golden from K-pop Demon Hunters. My top podcast was Esme's Country Life, brackets obviously. Thanks, girl. And I listened to you for 31,205 minutes. My goodness. And I was your top 0.5% of podcast listeners. Whoop whoop. Thank you. Where are we? I've got lost. So glad to hear Fossey is settling in so well, Layla. Oh, thank you, Layla. And then there's a little Christmas tree emoji as well, which is very, very cute. So yeah, sorry. We now need to go. So that was comment of the week. Leave your comments. Anyway, on to. I need to tell you the Fossey pub story.
Please subscribe.
Oh, yeah. Also, Davide's just reminded me, if you could please subscribe to the pod.
Because Spotify are watching.
Because Spotify are watching. That sounds like Father Christmas. He knows when you are sleeping. He knows when you're awake. Spotify are watching the pod, so make sure you subscribe. Oh my gosh, that was awful. My voice is so croaky right now. That is... Anyway, please subscribe to the pod, because I'm actually in a competition with Spotify creators right now, and the podcast that grows the most between now and then gets a special prize, and I really want to get the special prize. I'm not going to say what the special prize is, because if I don't get it, it's going to be really sad. So you guys will find out what the special prize is if you subscribe on Spotify. So even if you have a free account, you can still subscribe. Just press that button and it adds a little you guys can get added to the community. Anyway, that's enough of that, because I hate it when content creators do the little self-promo, but I tried to make it fun. It's part of my job. Anyway, finally, we're going to talk about my dog's first pub trip. So actually, technically, he's been to the pub once before, different pub, where he went. That was when he was in his bag. It was before he'd had all his vaccinations, so I had to carry him around. But this time, we were brave, because it was his first time on the floor, which sounds a bit ridiculous to say, but it was his first time as a big boy, not in the bag. He was out the bag. And also, it was a very brave moment, because we decided to not just, go to the pub to have a drink. We went to the pub to have dinner. So, went to my local, very, very cute. Do you know what's very sweet? Because it's obviously a dog-friendly pub. They have like a whole little dog biscuit jar. So if you bring a dog in, they get a free dog biscuit, which I thought was very cute. I had to break it up into like really small little pieces, because obviously Fossey is still a puppy. He's almost at 4 months, which means that he can have like adult dog treats. So I was like, thank you, but also I was kind of like, I don't know if he's allowed these yet, because he's still very young. But anyway, he seems to eat them all right. Anyway, we had sat down for dinner. Now I was actually so impressed with how good Fossey was, because I was thinking, like, it's a big moment. But also I thought, number one, he's only a baby. Number two, it's my local, where I know the people that own it, and everyone's super chill. It's like, it's not a fancy pub. It's not like a sort of pub where it's like, white tablecloth, that kind of thing. It's a proper, village pub with a lovely community. Everyone knows everyone. Also, everyone was very excited to see him. So lovely. But also I thought, you know what? It's got hardwood floors. Although, saying that, we have not had an accident in so long. Like, Fossey toilet training him, he's just been so good. Like, he does like I don't know how to describe this, because at first, when I was toilet training him, I saw a lot of people that said, oh, get some bells and put them on the back door, so when your dog needs to go out, they'll ring the bell first, and they think, oh, I'm going to go to the toilet, going to ring the bell. Now, the issue with that is, if you're in a public place, like a pub, and they need to go to the toilet, how are they going to tell you? So that's one of the reasons why I didn't go for that method, although I've heard lots of really good things about that. So Fossey does this thing where, sorry, I sound like an oversharing mother, but don't worry. Well, if I have kids one day, or when I have kids one day, I will not be oversharing about their toilet troubles, because one day they're going to grow up to be adults, and they probably don't want people to find out or hear about their mother talking about their toilet training on the internet. But Fossey's a dog. He's forever going to be a dog. He's not going to have to go and do a job interview one day. So I don't mind oversharing about my dog. Anyway, so he does this thing that we call his toilet noise, where basically he kind of like whines and kind of looks at the door and then looks back at us. And he is so clever. Like, I didn't even train him to do that. Like, he just does not like toileting in the house. So obviously we're in a public place with all these people, and he just started doing his toilet noise. And he was such a good boy, because obviously before I took him into the pub, made sure that he had a wee, because that's the main sort of toileting thing that you do more regularly. So anyway, it was one of those days where he did a number 2 like 4 or 5 times like that. He's a regular boy. He's a regular boy. Anyway, so halfway through our meal, he starts making his noise. I'm like, oh, I should probably go and take him out. I take him out, and he does the biggest dump ever. And I tell you what, I was proud of him, because he said to me, Mum, I need to go to the toilet. And he went. A lot of the time, he just laid down with us. And I think a lot of people probably get quite nervous about maybe taking their puppy to a pub. Again, the one that I took him to, a very chilled pub. But I'm glad that I'm doing it at a young age, because I'm just, as he said before, we're very lucky that he can just, get with the program. If I take him to the pub all the time as a puppy, by the time he's an adult dog, he's not going to find it super stressful or super exciting or like, oh my gosh, there's so many people or anything like that. He's just going to be like, oh yeah, I go to the pub all the time. To be fair, there was one point where I actually fell asleep a little bit, so that was very good. He was absolutely shattered afterwards because obviously there were a lot of people to watch. He just loves people watching. He would just lie there right next to me because obviously when he was being a good boy and he was settled and he was lying down, I'd give him a little treat and say that he was a good boy. But most of the time he just laid there and just looked at all the people, which was lovely. So definitely have to do some more Fossey pub trips very, very soon. How are we doing for time?
You're probably 25 minutes in.
Okay, I could probably do another 5 minutes.
It's the last full podcast before Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
So you could just say, I hope you all have a happy holidays, good Christmas, and all that sort of thing. And, just say I'm still doing my mini pods and there'll still be a podcast. Don't worry. Not gonna, And you could also maybe say, if you're bored of stuff to do, I've got some extra long YouTube videos coming out as well. So
yeah,
I've got you over the Twixmas time. And
Twixmas? I've never heard anyone called that.
Right, so we'll have a cough.
Yeah. Oh, I know what we can talk about. Also, while we're on the topic of Fossey, do you know what I've done this week with him? Because he is obviously a rescue and we don't 100% know what his breed is, we have done a Fossey DNA test. It's been sent off, it's gone to the post office, it's now been mailed out or posted out or shipped out. So I don't know how long it's going to take because I have just sent it off just before Christmas, so we probably won't get the results back until the new year. But this is your time now. Actually, maybe we'll do that for another comment of the week. We'll do double comment of the week. Sorry, guys. Let me know in the comments what breed you think Fossey is. Because I've had so many different people say different things. Most people have said Whippet, but I think he's going to be bigger because he's already almost Whippet sized and he's like 4 months old. So how does that work? I've also had a lot of people say greyhound because he was abandoned, and I know that's a breed that gets abandoned a little bit more often. Also, I've had one person say that he looks like he maybe has like a bit of Vizsla in his face, which is interesting. That's the only thing I've heard from like different breeds. A lot of people obviously said Lurchus as some sort of greyhound cross. Some people, when he was really little, when we first got him, said Italian greyhound, but I don't think he is Italian greyhound just because he's already bigger than an Italian greyhound at 4 months, and also he's a lot chunkier. Like his legs are quite chunky, especially compared to lots of Whippets that I've seen online. Like he's got chunkier legs than a Whippet, so I reckon maybe he's some sort of greyhound cross. We will see. I don't know, he's grown so much. Like I've literally had to get him a new bed because he has outgrown the one that he has at the moment. I did like a little before and after photo on my Instagram of our like 1 month update of, we've only had him a month and he's already grown so much. So yeah, let me know in the comments what breed you think he is. I reckon, I want to say either a Whippet cross to make him a little bit bigger or maybe a greyhound cross. But you never know. He could be an Italian greyhound cross or something huge, and that's why he's such a big boy. So, but I want to say, I think he's more whippety, because when we first got him, the RSPCA said that he likes to sit. Apparently greyhounds don't like to sit as much, so that's why they thought, I reckon he's more of a Whippet cross. But anyway, I'm very excited to see what he is. My friend, actually, she's got a rescue. I think that was from Battersea, and her dog is like 8 different breeds. They did like a little drop down of like the 8 top breeds that he is. So you never know. Fossey might be like 20 different breeds. He might be 20 different things. So it'll be interesting to see. I'm very, very, very excited for that. But anyway, before we end, I want to say happy Christmas, happy holidays, because this is the last feature length podcast before Christmas. Don't worry, there is still going to be a little mini pod episode coming out the Wednesday before, and I've actually really been enjoying doing the mini pod episodes, so maybe we will have to carry on doing 2 pods a week. Let me know in the comments if that's something you would enjoy, because I've been really enjoying it. I mean, it's a lot of hard work, but I think it's worth it. I really enjoy doing the podcast. But yes, also, Davide and I, we've been having a little debate, because he was like, because we do a little plan before the podcast. Like, not that I script my podcast, I literally write down like 3 bullet points of the things that I want to talk about. But Davide was like, oh, you must tell everyone that you've been posting loads of videos, long format videos on YouTube in December, and that people must go and watch them, especially in the Twixmas period. And I was like, the Twixmas period? What do you mean Twixmas? And he was like, yeah, it's like the period between Christmas and New Year, Twixmas. And I was like, the Twixmas. And I was like, Betwixmas?
Yeah.
What,
like between.
Betwixmas. Oh, that's even worse. Twixmas I could maybe get behind, although it sounds like a chocolate bar. But Betwixmas?
Yeah.
Well, it sounds like you've just sneezed into a hanky. Betwixmas? What is on? I've never heard it be called Betwixmas before. I just call it the time where I get to sleep, rest, and eat a lot of food. But anyway, on that note, I'm going to finish off today's podcast episode there. Thank you so much to Red Post for sponsoring the podcast. Again, last minute Christmas bits. Go and check it out. And I'll see you all next time. Or see you on Wednesday for another mini pod episode. See ya. Bye.